A JPEG is a universal file format that is used in numerous different circumstances. Most new photographers, when they start shooting, shoot with a JPEG format, but what a lot of new photographers don't realize is that you can choose the quality of the JPEG that you shoot. To change that format, you'll have to go into your camera menu. Where that is exactly, you should look in your user manual to figure it out. But let's look at a couple of different examples. So here's a photograph of a Nikon camera, and you have a number of different choices. Let's not worry about NEF and TIFF for now, but let's just look at JPEG. Nikon allows you to shoot three different qualities of JPEG: fine, normal, and basic. Fine is the highest quality, the largest file size. Normal and basic get smaller in file size, but smaller in quality as well. Again, Nikon calls it fine, normal, and basic. This is a shot of what your Canon camera may look like. Instead of fine, normal, basic, Canon calls it large, medium, and small. And they have a number of different choices here. You have extra large, large, etc. Sony also has a number of choices: extra fine, fine, and standard. The thing to remember about all of this is that the higher the quality, the bigger the file size. So that means that if you shoot standard, you're going to get a lot more photographs on your camera card than you would with fine or extra fine. But the quality, the size of them is going to be much, much smaller. I would suggest that if you are going to shoot JPEG, you shoot on fine or large, as big as possible. Shooting with JPEG has a number of advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are the file size. They are relatively small in size. Another advantage is that they are used everywhere. There are so many different kinds of software that you can use to open a JPEG. You can open a JPEG in any browser and view it. There are some disadvantages, however. One is that every time that you work on a JPEG and you save it, a JPEG is compressed. It has a compression algorithm that it uses. It's called a lossy compression. Lossy compression. And what that means is that every time you save it, the file size gets smaller. Now, normally, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be fine if you just open a file and save it a few times. However, if you are working on one file over and over again, and you are saving it again and again and again, over time it will deteriorate, and you will see some deterioration and some artifacts in the quality of the photo. Another disadvantage is that any kind of edits you make to a JPEG are destructive. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, if you are going to be shooting JPEG and you work on something in Photoshop, I highly recommend that you make a copy of your original and work on the copy. You save the original and don't touch it at all. So let me show you this photo right here. This is in Photoshop. If I take this photo and I crop it, I'm just going to crop it here, and I'm going to crop her foot off, and then I save it, and then I close it, I've destroyed that file. Every time I open it back up now, I cannot get back to what it was originally. So I've cropped her foot off, and if I don't have a backup of this, I can never get back what was originally there. Another thing is that if I happen to paint on this, do a save, and then close it, I open the file again, the pixels have been changed. It is a destructive editing process. So let me say this again. If you're going to shoot JPEGs, keep your original safe someplace. Only work on copies. In the next video, I'm going to talk about shooting RAW and how RAW files are different than JPEGs.